Hi, this is Roger, thanks for dropping by. We're getting back to the list of repotting that we had, well, it was actually a while ago now. So tray time, and for those of you who are relatively new, you don't know what on earth I'm on about. We used to have kitchen time, and I used to do this sort of work on the kitchen counter in the place where I used to live because there was room. In the kitchen I've got now there isn't room. So I had to get one of these, obviously don't want to make a mess all over the place. So kitchen time got replaced with tray time. So that's the explanation for why some videos get called tray time. Now this one's just going to get done on its own. I know in the past I've done groups of plants, but I'll tell you why this one's getting done on its own. It has had, and may still have, fusarium. And as a consequence, I just don't want it near anything else, so I'm doing it on its own. Just having a quick look at the plant, it is growing well, but if it isn't already two pieces, it soon will be. What we've got here is a nice plant with 3 new growths quite close together. So I thought I saw a 4th coming up then. So that coming back round here is effectively this part of the plant. If I can get away without disturbing pieces of the plant, these 2 leafless bulbs are coming off, because given that it's had or possibly still has fusarium, that's where the dominant fungus is going to be. So that's where it once was, breeding well. And over this side, that leaves this little bit. Now that's 2 old bulbs and a new growth with root growth. So it'll make quite a nice little plant on its own, but it'll go in the same pot as the other one. I see no point in starting separate plants. I can't sell my plants any cents anymore, not like I used to. So I'm just getting rid of some yellow leaves. They serve no purpose. Once they've gone yellow, they don't photosynthesize, so they serve no purpose. Now, this has got a hell of a root system on it, and some of that may well be attached around the top of the plant, but I'm hoping it will just come off. Yes, it's just lifted out basically. There were a few down below, and now you just get the old media out. And a lot of this is just going to fall out naturally. And any that hangs on to roots, it probably means those roots are active, and if they're active, I don't really want them damaged to any great extent. So I'm not going to make an effort to get every bit of this old bark out. I just want to make sure that the roots can get into some new stuff. Now we do have a ring of roots around the plant. I'm just going to break that ring here, around the back, and then we can separate what I want to do here. So I'm going to separate the rhizome there. Actually, I'll be back. I'm just going to get the big cutters. These little ones are not going to cut that rhizome. It's massive. I'll be back. Right, something a bit more substantial. Thought I'd better get the cinnamon as well. Right, so first cut then is there. That's to take that little piece off. Now let's see how easily that untangles itself. I think these roots are so entangled I'm going to end up having to cut them. Now, first of all, we decide where are the new ones. Right, well, we don't want those, or these, or these, or this lot down here. So I'm hacking at the moment, but I have my eye on green tips, and so far we're not cutting those, but we are going to cut in here because these new growths are producing new roots into this tangle. So I'm going to cut that there. Now this little bit should separate itself off now. Should. Yeah, there we go. And most of most of the old media just fell away at that point. I know what you're all thinking. Is he going to look at the rhizome? Of course he is. In a minute, give me a chance. Let me just trim my roots first. Now, this is going to have to go in the pot at a slight angle, otherwise I'd have to bury this. But I want it to support the new growth. Yeah? I want both of the old pseudobulbs. Now, we do have some new root tips. We also have some old roots that just need to come off, basically. Like that one. Where does that one start then? Oh, there. Logical on the old bulb. Now this has got new root tips, so I'm going to keep that. I'm hoping that it'll bend round in the pot okay. These are quite flexible, these roots. That's an old one, you can come off. There. Right. And there. And there, in fact. That's all the roots off of the old bit. Right, now, pseudobulb, rhizome. Has it got pink around the edge of it? Well, actually, yes it has, very slightly. I'd expect that in that old bulb. I would hope that it's growing clean from that point on, but I'm not cutting that old bulb off to find out. So at this point, there is still signs of the fusarium in the oldest part of the plant. That was expected. Oh, that's quite a nice little piece, actually. Yeah. Right, now we're going to sort this flipping lot out. The first thing to do is get these old bulbs off. Big stuff. So first of all, we've got to find where is the rhizome. Well, there, yes. And there. So that's one piece off. See, now you look at the difference. This plant's been treated. Look at the difference in the pink. This is bright pink. This is not. This has only got the slightest little hint, whereas that's bright pink. As is the piece that it was cut off of. And again, see the difference? Now, is this a separate piece? It is a separate piece, so whether I like it or not, I've now got another separate piece to deal with. There we go. Right. Now again, we've got not much of the old media left, which is good. But we do have old dead roots in places. So, where's my scissors, not the secateurs. First thing I'm going to do, as this now is a separate plant, I'm going to take a lot more of that rhizome off, much closer to the bulb. And already there's a difference. This is what I'm getting at. That was close to the oldest bulb, which would have been badly infected. That's a piece of rhizome that would have grown since it was treated. Nowhere near as bad. Yeah? So you can see it does gradually sort itself out. Now, unfortunately, taking that bulb off, this one has come off as well. This happens. It's a vigorous plant. This is going to grow on really fast. You won't worry too much about that. And this piece of rhizome here, on this piece that's left, is virtually clean. So you see the progress. The difference is quite incredible. So it can be treated. It's not the end of the world. It would be better if it weren't there, but you know, you can treat it. I've found that fusarium can be cleared up quite easily in vigorous plants. It's not so easy in very slow growing plants. In fact, I'd almost say that you're probably going to lose slow growing plants if you get it in them. Right, and now the big bit. And this big bit is two pieces as well. Did you know this may have been potted up like that? This may have been lots of pieces that were potted up together and they've just tangled themselves up. Right. managed to keep the old bulb on this piece. I think I am actually. It's got a leaf on it, and that gives me a reasonable plant with 2 back bulbs this time, both with leaves. So this will be a strong piece to grow on. Get rid of that old flower spike. Sheaths off, and not a sign of any scale on this, not a sign. No, not one. Oh, we like that. Right, so that's another piece with active roots. That leaves this piece. See, now there's an element of pink here that's quite strong, and a long rhizome. I'm going to sacrifice this bulb this time to take that piece of rhizome off. And let's see what we get the other side of it. Now look, squeaky clean. Now some of you are going to say you've just reinfected that plant by not sterilising your tools, and that would be remotely possible. But what do you think is the first thing I'm going to do with this plant after I've set it up? Yes, obviously I'm going to spray it again, and then I will do it 10 days later. Because it's been disturbed, it's been weakened, and that's when this stuff gets hold, in its weakened state. Now it's actively growing and it's vigorous. It will grow away fine. But what we do need to do is put the cinnamon on. Just going to say now, where's the water? Over there. So that's one. So I'm trying to keep these separate now. That's one. And then over here, that's 2. When you're mucking about on cut rhizomes like this, dabbing around willy-nilly, remember in your mind that if you get the cinnamon on any of the roots nearby, it will dry those out as well, especially new green root tips. So make sure you put it where you want it and nowhere else. Keep the rest of the plant clean. I'm just going to just take a bit more of that rhizome off because it's too long and I don't need it. Just to there. There's no live roots come off with that. And that takes me through to a nice clean piece of rhizome as well. So the cinnamon on. Oops, managed to get some on a root. Right, so we've got 4 pieces and a dirty finger. Now it's going to go back in the same size pot, but I can't be bothered to go and wash that pot when I've got brand new ones, so I'm going to go and get a new one. So I'll chuck all the stuff out, have a tidy up, and come back when I've got my pot sorted out. So I'll be back. Right, so this is the leftover mix from last time, which I could use, but we're going to have to take the moss out. Because this has been left dry, this moss is dead. And I don't really want to be putting large quantities of dead moss in the pot. We used to do that. It was called zombie moss, didn't we? But this is, we've transferred our thoughts and media to live moss now. So I'm just going to get the worst of this out, bigger bits. And then I'm going to add some live stuff in, having taken the dead stuff out. But anyway, that'll do. There's no more big bits left. Odd piece now and again. We used to populate our pots with dead moss once upon a time and think nothing of it. But once you start using live moss, it gets in your head and you sort of think, why on earth did I ever use dead stuff? Anyway, it's good for regenerating roots, that zombie moss. It does have a purpose. I wouldn't use it as a general potting media myself, but right, so these pots are shallow, Where's me? So I keep forgetting I don't know where the camera is half the time. They are shallow and wide, but they do have big holes in the bottom. So we'll put some crocking in this time, so put some of the chunky stuff in. That's mainly just to stop the media falling out the holes. I mean, obviously good drainage as well, but as you could see in the previous pots, this plant generates big root systems. Now, that's the mix that I had from last time, but I don't think there's enough there. Actually, there probably is. It's only one pot full, isn't it? So we'll get some, I just need some room. So I'll get my moss tray up here. So we'll just, right, let me get one of the moss trays up. And there we go. Now we can get some of the live moss in. I'm going to put in quite a bit because this plant currently is in active growth, and it's going to be in active growth for some considerable time, because as these growths mature they might produce spikes. Now if they've got 2 back bulbs, I'll probably let the spikes go. However, there's at least one of them's only got 1 back bulb, so if that produces a spike I'll probably stop it and we'll wait for next year, then we'll get a better one. So we'll see how we go. Just breaking this up into pieces that will mix in better. Big long strands don't mix in that well. Still waiting to find out if there's an optimum size for breaking this stuff, below which it's not a viable piece anymore and it just dies. But I haven't come across that yet. Right, well, this is going to be fun. You can go over there. Let's get a base in. Right, now, are we going to be able to do this? 1. I need 4 hands, don't I? 2, we'll put that one in next. Near to the edge. 2. That's the one with lots of roots. Come on, you're going to have to bend. 3. Not bad. And 4. Now all of the new growths are now towards the middle of the pot. So now what I've got to do is fill up the gaps around the back here. Whoops, as I say, I'm trying to hold 4 plants here. I will do it, don't worry, it will be okay, because of the leaves. And there will be some minor adjustments when I've got sufficient media in here to hold everything still. Right, now let's reposition these plants a bit better. I reckon that's about right. Do you believe I haven't got enough media? Not quite. Not bad, not a bad guess, but not quite. No, not quite. Right, we will have to go and get some more. I might end up having to stake here, but I'm hoping I can tangle the leaves and they'll hold each other. But not with insufficient media they won't, so I'll lean that up against there and I'll get some more media. I'll be back. Right, I'm trying to get away without staking this. I'm still not sure I will. By intertwining the leaves. And what I've got here is a mix of the large dirty bark and the new bark I came home with from Malvern, that came from Sarah Burnham's. which also to me feels like dirty bark. But the whole pot's going to get a thorough rinse anyway, to get, you know, because there is some genuine dirty bark in there. And then if the other bark was clean, well, it can have a wash anyway, can't it? And I don't mind if the pseudo bulbs are slightly below the surface. On a vigorous Brassia like this, they're not going to rot. Right, let's have a quick look then. Where are we? New growth here, here, here and here. All of which have got room to grow, all of which have got room to push up another bulb. So there's room for these to mature and another year before these are going to get crowded. I think that's all right. Yeah. Happy with that. Good soaking now, so I can see a bare root with a little gap. Come on, you. There we go. Right, so I suspect within a month we will have a pot full of roots, but remains to be seen. So a good soak now, real good soak, wash right through, and I do that with tap water. Well, the filtered jug water, not straight out of the tap. It'd be too cold for a start. Yeah, so the filtered water that's been in the jug since I last filled the kettle up, which was earlier this morning. So I don't know why I tipped that out of there into there. It's got to go back in there. So a good wash now, and a good flush through into filtered jug water. That will dry quickly, and then the next time it gets watered, it'll have the RO water. It does pay not to go too mad with feed when you've just repotted, because the roots are a bit sensitive at that point. You know, they've been disturbed. So, right, where's my label? Can I still read it? Just about. It'll do. I'm not going to forget what this is, am I? They've got a look about them, Brassias. So there we go, one of the repots knocked off, and as I said, I did that one on its own for reasons I've stated. And we'll get on with, I think the next little batch will be a batch of dendrobiums. I've got 3 or 4 that need looking at. The Victoria Regina was put on the list to be looked at. I have looked at it and I'm not repotting it. The bark it's in is fine, it can stay for a while, so that's been, it's still in red on my list as needs doing sometime, but it's not urgent anymore, so I've taken it off our current list. Right, that's that one done, one off the list. List is getting smaller, but there is still a bit to do. I think there's about another 5 or 6, something like that, but that's one of the big ones done anyway. So each piece that's got 2 back bulbs may be allowed to bloom. I may change my mind and actually just let this plant grow for this year and not bloom, and then we'll get a really good blooming next year when it's established its roots and these growths mature. So decision not made yet. We'll see how we go. See you next time.